What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to a deck that I haven't updated for like 8 months now, and that is Invoked Shaddoll. So, as I did in my previous build, this is the baseline Invoked and Shaddoll. This does not involve Dogmaticas, it does not involve Bestials or any of that jazz. However, if you wanted to improve the profile or improve the deck in general as you're going forward, you can add those cards in and it will give it another edge. But this is the idea of just kind of reigniting the nostalgia behind Invoked Shaddoll, showing what the deck can do, how it can perform right now, and then giving you all of the different options that you can include in order to make it stronger or more consistent. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Not to mention, it also gives me a chance to showcase the brand new alternative arts for Macabre, and probably the best brand new alternative art that we received, Invocation. So we'll talk about that in a short second. So diving headfirst into the profile, of course you do play triple Alistair the Invoker. I didn't realise that this card, because it had been around for so long, has only had 3 prints. So this card has been around since 2017, an initial print of a super rare, then it got a reprint as a secret rare, and then its most recent print was the alternative art as a gold rare. Now, as you can understand, and when you'll see through this profile, I've used all of the alternative arts for Shaddolls and, of course, Invoked, except Alistair, because honestly, gold rare Alistair, just not so nice. But then I do also play the gold rare hand traps. Go figure. Then, of course, we are playing 4 copies of Magical Meltdown. 3, of course, are Magical Meltdown, and the 4th is, of course, Terraforming. So being able to get to Magical Meltdown is basically like your, of course, branded opening. Because with branded opening, it stops your opponent reacting to your fusion summons, which is technically what Magical Meltdown does. It was the one of its first kind, quite like Shaddoll Fusion, and then Brandy came along and said, we're going to upgrade it. And then, of course, we are playing 2 Invocation. I love the artwork on this card. Now, my only downside of this artwork is that I feel that the artwork would be better suited for something like a Kaliga, but I still love the artwork. Like, the artwork on this one is absolutely stunning. Looks amazing. Like, the original artwork was, of course, Alistair in the corner, and then you had the summoning circle summoning out one of the infusion beasts. But then this one is literally just Alistair with a demon form. So I really want to see this artwork somewhere else as well. It would be really kind of cool. But playing 2 of those, that's pretty much all you need. Then for the Shaddoll lineup, I've gone with 1 Hog, 2 Squirmartyr, 1 Dragon, 1 Wendy, 1 Ariel, 1 Beast, and 1 Yugioh. Now, of course, you can play whatever ratios you want. If you want it to be more Shaddoll fusion, more Shaddoll focused, you can add more in. If you want it to be less Shaddoll focused, you take some out. The idea, like I said, is to utilize the nostalgia of this deck to show you the Invoked Shaddoll update that you've been looking for in order to kind of utilize the deck without going, oh yeah, by the way, we play 2 Shaddoll monsters, 3 Nadir Servant, a full Bestial engine, and we don't really utilize Shadolls at all. No, the whole idea of this deck is to give you an update for the Invoked Shaddoll strategy. Of course, we are playing triple Shaddoll Fusion, and the best thing about this particular deck is you can shift its strategy for going first, straight to going second if you wanted to as well, and you'll see that when I show you the hand trap lineup, that you can actually take these all out and all become board breakers, which is what I think is really kind of cool about the deck. We've then, of course, got the 1 Shaddoll Fusion, L Shaddoll Fusion, 1 Schism, and, of course, the 1 Resh Shaddoll Incarnation. Now, again, in a different version, you might cut down the Resh Shaddoll Fusion, you might not even play Shaddoll Fusion, but it's Invoked Shaddolls. This deck is still incredibly powerful, very, very fun, and just being able to, like, what I love about decks like this is a lot of people forget about them. They throw them in the bin, they let them gather dust, and then the next thing they know, they'll go to an event, they'll go to a locals, and then they'll get hit with a winder, and they're like, oh, crap, that card still exists, and I still can't out it. Damn. And the last monster that I played before we get into the board breakers and hand traps is the 1 Eldritch the Golden Lord. I couldn't resist not putting it in this version. I really do like Eldritch the Golden Lord. I love the fact that you send it off a Shaddoll Fusion, put it into the graveyard, and then you have the ability to bring this stack monster back from the grave. I just really do like that type of utility for it. You cut it out completely if you don't want to. I just like the idea of adding it back into the deck. I thought it was a really kind of fun option. Then for the hand traps / board breakers, in this version I've gone with triple super polymerization. Now we've got 3 targets in the extra deck. You do adapt them to the environment that you're taking the deck to. If the environment you're taking it to does not have any effect with super poly whatsoever, cut them out completely. The idea behind the deck is to be able to play against the Yubel matchup, as Yubel is probably going to be the #1 deck until we get the Asmanias, and then when the Asmanias drop, they're just going to be fitting well within this realm where Super Poly can be called massively important. Now I say we play 3 Super Poly targets, we're playing 3 generic Super Poly targets, everything else can still be Super Poly targets. Now what I mean by that is Alistair plus a light gets you Macabre. Any of your Shaddoll monsters plus either a light or a dark gets you Construct, or of course can get you Winder, which is massively helpful with a card like Super Poly that your opponent cannot respond. And if they try to activate a card like a Bestial and you go, okay cool, Bestial target this card, and you go sure, chain Super Poly. As the chain resolves, if you were able to make a Winder, as soon as that Bestial hits the board, that is it. They can't move any further forward. Now, obviously, that's going to be even more beneficial for you if you do have an Alistair in the hand, because then they go, all right, well, I'll just kill the Winder, and then make all of my summons during main phase 2. And you go, yeah, okay, cool. Attack, damage step, drop Alistair, goes up to 32, and they're like, crap. Or, of course, you just do it off the back of Schism, and then you send that Bestial to the graveyard, and you go, yeah, cool, that was your one special summon. Now what are you going to do? So, for the hand trap lineup, you can play whatever you want. I've gone with triple Infinite Impermanence, triple Nibiru, as it is another light target as well should you want to, but the idea is that I feel Nibiru is a massively important card this format. Followed up by triple Ash Blossom, double Effect Veiler, and double Ghost Ogre. Again, another card that I think is going to be really important in this format because it's one of them cards, quite like Shaddoll's itself in general, where it's drifted out of the format and now some people are starting to play it back into the decks. And when it's a card like that that a lot of people forget about and they're trying to do their calculations of, right, I need to play around Ash, I need to play around Imperm, I need to play around Veiler, and they go, cool, activate this, use the effect, and you go Ghost Ogre, they go, I wasn't expecting that, and it completely throws their course of action off and really does catch them by surprise. And then the fact of the matter is these are all light targets, so being able to drop these on your opponent and then they have to go, okay cool, I'm going to have to pass now. You go, great, I've already got my light target in the graveyard ready, so I just go normal summon Alistair, go Burr, search out Invocation, Fuse, Alistair, cool, I've got my Macabre, I'm protected from anything you might want to throw at me, even a Nibiru, and then everything else I've got left can help me build my board. Moving on to the extra deck, we are playing 2 Invoked Macabre. Again, I really do like the alternative artwork on this one. I feel the original artwork was absolutely fine as well, but it's kind of nice that we've been able to get the alternate art in this. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't get the Alistair alternate art as a secret rare in this, but then I think the tin was just bogged down more than enough. But hopefully we'll get that in like Bonanza, would be really kind of cool. Like a quarter century Alistair would be amazing. Then for the other Invoke monsters, we play the one Purgatrio as your attack everything, piercing damage, your OTK winner. The one Agilides, I still really like this because it requires Alistair plus any fusion monster, so again it becomes a relatively generic target. Then on top of that as well is if it is specialed or a monster is special to your opponent's field, you get to target a monster your opponent controls and then destroy it. You can only use the effect once per turn, and then you get the ability to banish a fusion monster in the graveyard, and then this card will gain attack equal to the attack of the banished monster. So if you're banishing something like a Construct, it's going to go up to a 4800 base. It basically acts as your fusion version of a access code in sense, but again, access code has power crept the deck. And then, of course, the last one we play is the one Invoked Kaliga. Being able to combo this off with a Winder is pretty much a hard lock on your opponent, and you basically turn the deck into a stun-style deck. It becomes a lot harder for your opponent to deal with. You do need to be a little bit careful if you lock yourself like that, but then you'd want to make sure you put a card like this, or you put Winder into the extra monster zone so that you can link this off into something like your Gravity Controller, or you just rank up on top of one of those into a Sky Crisis Typhoon, but then it means your opponent would have had to summon twice during their previous turn, so you got to be very careful on that one. And then for the Shaddoll cards, we are playing 2 Construct. I do like how the Invoked kind of mirrors the Shaddolls, and the Shadolls mirror them. And what I mean by that is, like, Construct, Macabre, Kaliga, and Winder, and then App Clone. I don't know where you'd probably put App Clone on this one. But we play 2 Winders. Either way, 2 Winders and the 1 App Cologne. Again, you can adapt this ratio as you see fit, but these are like the baseline 5 that you're going to need for your Invoked, your Shaddoll plays. Being able to play 2 Winders is massively important because if they get rid of the first one, you've already got access through El Shaddoll Fusion to get to it. You've got Super Poly that can get to it, and then you've also got Schism that can get to it during your opponent's turn. So if they get rid of the first one that you made with Shaddoll Fusion, you just go in for a second one, then they're like, yeah, cool, guess I'm still locked. App Cologne being that negate is really important, alongside the Construct being that Foolish Berry and the Revive as well. And the last 5 cards you play are 3 generic Super Body targets in the form of Mud Dragon, Garura, and Yubel. I say Yubel is a generic target, it's more so for the Yubel matchup. Less effective when they have Phantom on the board, but as soon as they activate Phantom and clear off their entire board, you just go, okay, cool, Super Poly, use their entire board, burn them for the damage, and then you've got a Yubel the Loving Defender on the board. Now, obviously, this isn't going to do any damage, but the other is you've cleared off your opponent's entire board, you've burnt them for all of the damage, and by clearing off your opponent's board, it means you don't need to worry about Nightmare Pain unless they're able to revive said Yubel back to the board. And it's like, okay, cool, well, if I'm in the battle phase and I'm going to do this, it helps you play around the Nightmare Pain, and you're going to be able to add loads of other cards to this. It won't just be Yubel, because Yubel is coming off the back of Super Poly, and you don't need to use any of your monsters. You're then still able to have stuff like your Macabre, your Winders, and everything else in between. The final two cards is the one Gravity Controller, because there are combos where you need to turn a you'll need to turn a construct into the Gravity Controller to trigger the construct effect, because that's going to allow you to send a Shaddoll card to the grave and then add that Shaddoll card back to the hand. And the last card I'm playing is the Super Star Slayer Typhoon. Now, of course, again, you can change this up depending on the build you are playing. If you do decide to play the Nadir package, then of course you'd probably play 2 app clones. You can also look at stuff like Chimera Flesia. You can look at SP Little Knight if you have access to it, IP Masquerena. I wouldn't really consider Cross Ship as a good option for this, because the targets you're going to revive will be Shaddoll cards, but you could do, and then you could work your way into a Celine, because obviously all the Shaddoll monsters, bar a couple, are all spellcasters, and then you can work your way into an access code. But then it kind of takes away from the Shaddoll element of the deck, and of course the Invoked element of the deck, and that's kind of where they take up so much space in the extra deck. So that is pretty much it for the entire profile. So I thought I'd update this using the new list, using the new alternative arts, and just kind of show you where the deck currently is 8 months down the line. Now, if you do want to see a Invoked Dogmatica build, which is obviously going to be a little bit more aggressive than this particular version, just because the Shadolls are a little bit slower in the way the game state or their strategy plays. The whole idea is that it's going to work its way into window locks and then controls the board state from there and then pushes in the next turn. Whereas with the Dogmatica package, you can still utilize the Shaddoll cards, but rather than utilizing Shaddoll monsters in the main deck, you just use Nadir Servant to send the app clone from the extra deck, which then searches out Schism, and then you're basically just window locking your opponent with a few less steps. But then it does open up the space for you to play Fusion Destiny to get into DPE. You could still play that one-off Branded Fusion if you want to as well, because you really just go full-on Fusion plays, and it does work out quite nicely because Branded Fusion doesn't need to rely on a normal summon, but you will reduce your consistency because you'll only be able to play one. You do still play your free Alistairs, you still play free Fusion Destiny, and it's just kind of going back to the old school of being able to go, okay, I've got a DPE, I've got a Macabre, and I've got a Winder on my board. What are you going to do about it? And that's quite a scary board to have to face down, because Winder stops you playing, DPE stops them getting a monster on the board that could possibly out the Winder, and then you've got the Macabre that then provides you with the negate that you might need as well. Not to mention you'll have the Alistair back in the hand so that they can't just run over the Winder unless they can get it above 3,200. So really kind of cool forms of interaction, and I just really wanted to show off the new alternative arts. Like, I do love the artwork on this one. I wouldn't have been surprised if this was the Meltdown artwork. That would have been awesome as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this update. Any questions at all, by all means, comments down below. Be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.